But let's start off with the FA Cup final, which will be contested between Manchester City and Crystal Palace at Wembley tomorrow. We've got reporters in both camps. We will head to James Cole shortly. He's spoken to Oliver Glasser a bit earlier on. But first to Ben Ransom and Manchester City's training base. Ben, hello again. If City were to win the FA Cup and secure Champions League football, would this be considered a successful campaign?
No, I can't go that far. I don't think Pep would go that far either. It's not successful, but the phrase that keeps being uttered by the man himself, Pep Guardiola, is it could be worse. And it certainly could be, because as it stands, they have Champions League qualification in their own hands. That's absolutely crucial, even in spite of that goalless draw at Southampton that's just added a bit of jeopardy to these final few matches of the domestic season. But they are absolutely laser focused on winning the trophy at Wembley tomorrow. There's a lot of talk, isn't there, about the fact that Crystal Palace winning would be the emotional tie. Lots of neutrals, I'm sure, will be absolutely desperate for Palace to lift their trophy for the first time. But from Pep's point of view, despite the fact that they have won 12 major domestic trophies since he walked through the door, they are absolutely determined to add another one, to give their season an element of a silver shine and sparkle right at the very end. They do go in as favourites, and that comes from the fact they've been in the last two FA Cup finals. They've won one and they've lost one, and Pep Guardiola is absolutely determined not to be watching the opponents climb the 107 steps to lift the trophy while they stay on the pitch with their losers' medals. He wants to get a winner's medal, another one to add to his collection, and the players, he says, are determined to do the same.
That is the problem, right? FA Cup now is not the first choice, so anything is enough. Of course we want it. Once we are here, we want to lift the trophy. Of course, it's really massively important. It was disappointment last season for our performance, but I'm pretty sure we are good. We will do perform well, and we are going to compete against them. Of course, it's important. Definitely it is. But to win the trophy, you have to be there, and you have to be there. You have to win previous games, and we have done it for many, many years in the last years.
Now, could Rodri play a part in the final? Ben, would be amazing if he did.
Yeah, that's the question for the Manchester City club doctors, because Pep Guardiola said exactly that today, that essentially the decision rests with them. As soon as he is told by his medical team Rodri is fit and available, he will be back in the team. The fact that he's not got any minutes suggests that this probably comes a little bit too early, even if the player himself has been absolutely desperate to try and get back to playing for City before the end of the domestic season. Pep has always been a little bit more patient than that. He obviously doesn't want to take any chances with a player they've missed so much right through this campaign. They found a way of playing without him in recent weeks. They found a much more solid midfield, central box midfield they've been using, haven't they? They found the kind of partnership in the middle that just gives them that bit of stability, the control on the game that they were lacking for a large part of the season. But look, if Rodri and the doctors turn around and say he's fit to play, then Pep, I'm sure, would have no hesitation putting him into that match day squad. He's also got a selection dilemma when it comes to a bit further forward in midfield in terms of Kevin De Bruyne, because this is going to be Kevin De Bruyne's final appearance at Wembley in a Manchester City shirt. And then here on Tuesday, he's got that huge Premier League game, the final home match of his illustrious Manchester City career against Bournemouth. And as we've seen, they've had to be really careful with De Bruyne's minutes in recent weeks and months. It's unlikely you'd say he starts both those games. So Pep has a decision to make there, whether he manages his minutes and how he does that for Kevin De Bruyne, because there is an element of sentimentality about De Bruyne being the captain and potentially getting to lift the FA Cup trophy tomorrow. And then finally in goal as well, because he's got an option of Ederson, obviously, who has been the number one keeper here for a long time. He played the FA Cup quarter-final, but Stefan Ortega, who has been something of a domestic cup goalkeeper in recent seasons, played the semi-final. So selection for Pep Guardiola as well there. He did tell us today that he's pretty much made up his mind on what he's going to do in terms of team selection, but not giving anything away. He says he'll make his final decision this afternoon. City will make their way from here in Manchester down to London, stay overnight, and then they'll be ready for the final tomorrow.
All right, Ben, thank you very much indeed. Let's now head to Crystal Palace's training ground and James Cole. James, good afternoon. Palace have never won a major trophy. They've twice come close in this competition. What would it mean if they ended that record tomorrow?
Well, Glasner was asked a lot about that today, as was his captain, Mark Gahey. Both were very cool, calm and collected, and both were avoiding too much talk of ending that trophy wait. As you say, 120 years this club has never won any silverware, but Glasner, he's a very methodical man, he's a very measured man, he's happy to talk about tactics, strategies, but when he was asked about emotionally what would be the emotional drive of ending that wait and pleasing the fans, he steered away from it on several occasions. He actually referred to the Brazil team of the 2014 World Cup when they got to the semi-final against Germany, and during the anthems they were hugely emotional, tears rolling down their eyes, but they went on and lost 7-1. So Glasner was very keen to keep a lid on the emotion, both in terms of the club, but also what his players may experience tomorrow at Wembley.
I don't talk about, if this happens, if this happens, if this happens. So when it happens, then we can talk about it. So we have a great game. We feel well prepared for this game, and as Mark said, we will give our best, every single one, as long as he's playing or even he's not playing, and supporting the team. And this is what we can do. This is the only thing we can do. And then let's see. But of course, and this is the same approach. But it was the same before the semi-finals, before the quarter, and then. And even when we played, I don't know, the first game was Stockport at home in the FA Cup. Yeah, we had the same approach. Go to the pitch, show who we are.
And James, Mark Gahey flanked Oliver Glasner at that pre-final news conference today. And, well, look, we know he will be the subject of transfer speculation this summer, as he has been the last few windows. But would becoming an FA Cup winner keep him at Selhurst Park?
It's hard to see, isn't it, David? He was very, very straight, played a very straight bat here today, Mark Gahey. The subject of huge interest from Newcastle, wasn't it, last summer? And they decided, Newcastle, that Steve Parish was trying to get too much money for Gahey. Well, he's now almost into the last year of his contract. He didn't dismiss my question as to whether he'd be around the next year and whether he's thinking about it, but he didn't exactly nail his flag to the Crystal Palace mast either, but as you'd expect, very much focused on tomorrow's game.
I think the most important is just always doing the best that I can for this football club. I come in every day and I try to be the same. I try to work hard, and this football club has given me a lot. And I'm still under contract at this football club, so my focus is always at this football club. So I think the most important is just doing the best I can and then seeing where the future holds.
So they will be big underdogs. 4-1 the bookies have Crystal Palace, but with the likes of Sarr, Eze and Mateta up front, with Gahey, their rock at the back, don't write them off. It will be a cracking atmosphere as well at Wembley, as the Palace fans hope and pray they can end that 120-year wait for a major trophy. Good news in terms of injuries. Adam Wharton is fit. He's had an ankle ligament injury. He missed the win over Tottenham on Sunday, but Glasner says he's fit, he's ready to go, and that gives him a bit of a selection headache in midfield.